Hi, I'm Stephanie Jaworski of joybaking.com. Today we're going to make Spritz cookies, or maybe you know them as Swedish butter cookies or pressed butter cookies. And this is a really festive cookie, as you can see here. Now, while you don't have to use a cookie press, I like to because you can make all these really fun shapes. And then, of course, you can decorate your cookies with, I've got some candied cherries or some sprinkles. Now, these cookies have a really nice buttery, sweet vanilla flavor, and the texture is really wonderfully tender crisp. So, to start, you need to preheat your oven to 350 degrees Fahrenheit, which is 180 degrees Celsius. Now, you will need 2 baking sheets. Now, I'm not going to use parchment paper here because I like to butter my pans, because I find when you're using a cookie press, the cookies will stick better to a buttered pan. So what I've done here is just melted, a couple tablespoons of butter, and I'm using a pastry brush, and then just butter the pan. And then what I like to do is, just pop your baking sheets into the fridge to chill. Because I find that extra step just, helps again with when we're pressing out our cookies for them to stick really nicely to our pan, so that way you get a really nice shape. So there. And then just, like I said, put them in the refrigerator to chill while we're making our batter. So now, if you have a stand mixer like I have here, use your paddle attachment, or, you could use a hand mixer, or really you can make this batter by hand if you want. So first you will need 1 cup, that's 228 grams of butter. I like to use unsalted, you could use salted. Now, there's not a lot of competing flavors here, so try to use a good quality butter. So first what I'm going to do is just beat this on low speed just until the butter is nice and creamy and smooth. Okay. And as always, when you're making batters, just scrape down the bottom and sides of your pan, or of your bowl, as much as you need to, because you want to make sure everything gets mixed together. So what I'm going to add now is a 1/2 cup, it's 100 grams of granulated white sugar. And then I'm going to beat this on medium-high speed just until it gets nice and light and fluffy, maybe a couple minutes. Okay, so this is what it looks like. Just want to get it all really mixed together, and a little bit of air in there. Okay, so our next thing we're going to add is 2 large egg yolks. If you want to go by weight, that would be 32 grams. And have those at room temperature. Now, I find it best to separate your eggs while they're still cold, and then just cover and let them come to room temperature. And that takes, depending on how warm your kitchen is, maybe about ½ an hour. So just dump that in there. Using egg yolks adds a really nice richness to this cookie. And then for flavoring, I'm going to add 1½ teaspoons of pure vanilla extract, and try to use the pure because it's a lot better flavor than the artificial ones. Now, some people like an almond flavor. If you would like that, then you could cut your vanilla extract back to maybe 3/4 teaspoon, a teaspoon, and then add, depending on how strong you want that almond flavor, like an 1/8 to maybe 1/4 teaspoon of pure almond extract. So now I'm just going to beat the eggs and vanilla in. Okay, so that looks good. So again, scrape down the sides and the bottom. And our last ingredient which is, you will need 2 cups, that's 260 grams of all-purpose flour. You may know that as plain flour. And sift your flour, get a little air in there. And then what I'm going to do is add 1/4 teaspoon of salt. And whisk that together. And I'm just going to add that. And just until, I'm going to just beat it until everything's all mixed together. Okay, so that looks good. As you can see, it's a pretty easy dough to make. It's kind of like an enriched shortbread. So now what I'm going to do is just clean up here, and when I come back we will press our cookies. So now we're ready to make our cookies. So of course you need a cookie press. Now there's different types. It's really a matter of personal preference, but my personal choice is the type of press that kind of has this lever and you press down. There's some that squeeze, but this is what I like. But again, like I said, whichever type you like. So now, and then what you have is a lot of different of these metal discs with all the different shapes. Now, it's hard to tell what the cookie's going to look like just by looking at this. So normally on your box, when you're buying your cookie press, it'll give you all the different shapes with the matching up to the disc. So you might want to keep your box so you can do that. And you can change as you're going. So you take your, now I'm just going to, maybe I'll try this one. And you just put your disc into there, and then we put our dough in. Try to put it in evenly so you don't have too many air bubbles, or air pockets, I should say. And fill it, almost all the way up. Okay, looks good. And then we take the top part and kind of push it down. Okay. And then, I don't know, it depends on your cookie press. Mine has different thicknesses. I like a nice thick cookie, so, and then just press down. And then lift up. And there's your cookie. So you just go along, space them a couple inches apart. And like I said, as you're doing it, you can just unscrew this and use another plate so you could have all different shapes on your cookie sheet. Okay, there you have it. So as you can see, I have all different shapes. So now, you could just bake them off plain like that, but it's always fun to kind of decorate them. So I just have some colored sugars here and some candied red cherries, my favorite. So sometimes if you have a little, if you're using the cookie press and you have a little hole, what I like to do is just put one of these. I cut it in half, the candied cherries in half, and then just put it like that. And then, if you want, you can also put little sprinkles on top. This is where this is great to do with the kids. So. Okay, so there we go. So now, we're going to bake our cookies. So, I find my oven somewhere, because these are fairly thick, between 11 and 13 minutes. Now, if you're making, of course, smaller or thinner cookies, be less time. What you're looking for is just until the edges of the cookies are barely tinged with brown. Okay, our Spritz cookies are now done. Don't they look gorgeous? As you can see, just the edges there are just starting to brown. So what I like to do is just let them cool on the cookie sheet for, 2 or 3 minutes, and then transfer them to a wire rack to cool completely. Now you can store these probably, I would say, at least 10 days at room temperature, or, they're a great cookie to freeze. So I'm going to try one. I made these earlier, so of course I like the ones with the candied cherries. Oh, that is a really nice tasting cookie. It's buttery, it's sweet, you got the vanilla flavor. And what I like is the outside is kind of crisp, yet inside they just almost melt in your mouth. So enjoy. And until next time, I'm Stephanie Jaworski of JoyBaking.com.